This episode is made possible with the help of our friends at Folk Salt. All right, everyone, while you may be familiar with that clean-tasting, flaky salt on some delicious tomatoes or to finish a nice steak, let's not look past the wonderful world of cocktails. We've had a number of bartenders in our Beyond the Drink episodes, which take place every other week, that are using salt as a component in their cocktails. Today's guest is no different. Masa from New York City actually adds a pinch of salt to his martinis when he makes them at home. Pretty cool, but keep listening to this episode to hear why he actually adds the salt. So I'm excited to share more about Folk Salt. Folk Salt has been Sweden's premier salt manufacturer for over 190 years. They produce beautiful, 100% natural Mediterranean sea salt flakes. You almost don't want to eat it. This stuff is so beautiful. Find it in your local grocery store or on Amazon. So to learn more about Folk Salt and all of their different flavors, go to folksaltusa.com. That's FALKSALTUSA.com. And follow them on social media at FolkSaltUSA. Folk Salt, we thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Simon Ford of Ford's Gin. Martinis, gin and tonics, Negronis, great classic cocktails is what I'm about. But I also love to hear of great recipes from great bartenders from around the world, which is why we've partnered with Beyond the Drink for this season. Cheers.
Well, you just heard from the man himself, Simon Ford, and this season of Beyond the Drink is presented by Ford's Gin. I'm Cappy, and this is a segment where some of the best bartenders in the country explain the stories and recipes behind their favorite drinks. To get the recipe from this episode, check out the episode notes in your podcast player or go to beyondtheplatepodcast.com. Beyond the Drink is a production of Beyond the Plate. All right, everyone, for this episode, we're talking with Masahiro Urushido out of New York City. You can find him on Instagram at Masa NYC. That's Masa NYC. Masa is going to walk us through his at-home martini. Please enjoy this episode as we go Beyond the Drink with Masa Urushido. All right, Masa, I feel like you're going to school us on simplicity at its finest. What are you mixing up for us today?
Thank you, Andrew, for having me today. I work at the bar called Katana Kitten in the West Village in New York City. And yes, we have lots of cocktails. We are specialized in highballs and everything is kind of taken from the classics, so respecting the classic cocktails and preparations and a story behind, but kind of adding a little bit of our touch of how we can bring a little bit of like a Japanese as a culture, as a culinary traditions, like a little technique, ingredients, because we are Japanese American bar. And that's what we do. Our menu is not big, but kind of focused menu. But at work, so that's what I do. But my private at home, when I come home or just, my day off, and something I really like is that I like martini. I like martini as a drink, and it's more about, to me, is that the time, like either I drink it at home, going to the steakhouse, drinking like martini to start with a martini, or, like going out and drinking martini is like kind of like simple, but I remember more so that who I'm with or who I was going out. And, I remember the King Steakhouse dinner. I remember that the Balthazar dinner on the Christmas day kind of thing. And then at home, yes, I drink martini. It's I use this plastic measuring cup as a mixing vessel. It's a 16-ounce plastic with a handle on it. I use that because it's something that I don't know how long ago we my wife and I, start living together, and then I need a measuring cup to make some stew or something. And then I got this a little small. It's actually kind of perfect making one or two martini in there. So, and it's store-bought. I just put in there, I put on the recipe about 2 to 1 part because you don't really use jigger at home, to making it perfect, just kind of that meticulousness, but more about, all right, so let's pop open the fridge, grab the dry vermouth, what we have in the fridge at a time. Doesn't need to be specific brand, but I like these French dry vermouth because I think they are delicious. I just open and then just pour about 1 part of that drizzle, but also kind of like when I'm feeling that I don't know, like maybe I can do dry martini, so I just splash in there and then top it off with the gin. Or maybe I want to enjoy like a couple more, so maybe just trying to make it like a 1-to-1. So anyhow, just pour that certain part in and top of that with the gin, London dry style gin. So it's got the good, very straightforward, beautiful juniper. And throw some like pinch of salt because most likely I'm making in the kitchen when I'm making martini. The kitchen, everything is around it. The fridge is there, measuring cups here. Freezer above those two compartments. Like the shitty the fridge is nothing special, not fancy. It just grabs the ice. You can reach out with a hand and then put that in the mixing cup, measuring cup, and then bring a gin, whatever the ratio is, like I feel like. And a little pinch of salt. I don't know, just something I like. And, pinch of salt makes everything tastier. And also most likely I'm eating something. Either, yes, I can shuck oyster at home. Maybe my wife might have like 3, I might have 12. And it just that touch of salinity goes well with anything, you're eating. Appetizer or just even like fish, like a sashimi. I think it's kind of like, to me, the martini connects me to that time that, oh, yes, I can enjoy a little martini time kind of thing. And it's my day off, and of course, cook our daughter's food first, and then so she's got something to eat, but also to us, it's just like a little martini time, which is kind of like a little treat, within a week, that if you have the time to do that, So that's kind of that connects me to the martini time, is that at home, my favorite garnish is actually the radish. The New York City, these farmers market, we have the one close to us, and we live in the Park Slope. Every Sunday, just this gorgeous farmers market next to my daughter goes playing in the playground, and then on the Fifth Avenue, and it's beautiful radishes, different radishes, and they got these like mixed color radishes. That's my favorite. Like one's got like little purple ones, and black ones, and of course the red one, pink ones. I like that kind of like a basket, or what's I call like a little more like a kind of longer shape is with the French radish, I guess, breakfast radish. Those are delicious too. And I make this kind of softened butter. So you get the butter and just soften it, and then in the room temperature. And add a chopped kombu, the salted kombu, shio kombu. That's a Japanese little kind of condiments, but you can mix in anything. So you make a kombu butter. So mix that butter with the kombu. And I believe like the first time I had it, that kind of thing, it was at the Grand Army. That's an amazing oyster bar and a cocktail bar in where we used to live nearby. And so I just basically washed the radish and like dip that in the kombu butter, and then just actually that's, to me, is the happiest garnish to drink martinis. So just I have this here's the martini, whatever the ratio is, with a twist and kombu butter radish. So that's kind of sort of my favorite. Yes, that's my favorite drink. Drinking at home. Yes, that's my favorite drink. And probably I might have like the beer on the side as well.
I love it. Yeah, I love it, Masa, because you're taking something that sounds so simple, but there's so much like passion and experience behind it. And I feel like, as you've alluded to, for you, it's like a brand or a spirit or a drink connects you with like a time or a memory. It's not like always about just going out and getting a martini. Like there's a certain experience you had with, someone or a group of people or at a certain dinner, which is really cool. I love that. So awesome. So you're doing 2 parts gin to 1 part dry vermouth to this pinch of salt. And you're adding all of these components into you use a measuring cup. I love that. You're making me feel good about mixing something at home and not being so precious about it. You're adding these things to some ice. You're stirring it up until it's cold, and then you're straining it into a frozen martini or coupe glass. I saw the salt and I was curious because I was wondering if you were adding salt for that touch of flavor, or if you were adding salt because it helps bring that chill level down a little bit. And I was curious to hear your use of it, but I love that pinch of salt in there. That's such a neat thing. I'm going to try.
Yeah, for sure. That the temperature one, that's because that's what you're expert in this. Like that. You're talking to chefs and bartenders. To be honest, I didn't even think about that part.
There's a chance it makes it a degree or two like colder.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's for sure. But I'm not adding like really kind of like that much. It's probably like just something like stuck to my hand, like while I'm making something else, and just just kind of like throw some pinch in there. To be honest, I think salt brings out like lots of flavors, especially the herbs from the vermouth. Yes, I think so, because the salt actually even tiny bit you put in the pinch in the martini, or like the liquid form with it while you drinking it. And I think it definitely like it stimulates your tongue, tasting buds, and then you kind of like taste that even the pinch. But I think like that the stimulation to your tasting buds, I think brings out more herb and more assertive to these kind of the flavor of the vermouth and the botanical of the gin. But to me, it's more. I think it's more about bring out the kind of wine component, like the flavor of vermouth and
yeah. That sounds so good. Masa, this was awesome. Thank you. So all of our guests that we have, I had mentioned to you before we started recording for Beyond the Plate, which is our companion podcast to Beyond the Drink here, they all give back in different ways. And I always like to say bartenders are no different. They give back plenty and support organizations and things like that. So we wanted to give you a minute or however long you'd like to take to, shed some light on whether there's a specific charitable organization or a cause that you may want to raise awareness for. Are there any that you like to support through your work?
It's hard to kind of choose one that top of my head. Yes, we've done something time to time. Again, that the previous restaurant I worked, we always did something for Bowery Mission, which is the one of the oldest homeless shelter on the Bowery Street in the Lower Manhattan, because we had somehow a connection and a neighborhood connection. Just down the street we had this restaurant, with the restaurant I was working. And then our chef, executive chef, like had a connection to the pastor who worked there. So just like, when the time to celebrate something, for example, like with New Year's Eve, or kind of, that the time while like Christmas, like while people are celebrating in basically essentially privileged form or style, yes, you can afford to go out and eat and drink. And then yes, you can celebrate this and buying this ticket to, go out and celebrate with champagne and like caviar and then like these things. What can you do? Somehow to share that joy of the seasonality. And yes, I organized this kind of seasonal charity raffles, not waffle. The raffles. So basically, like as people buy and walk in, hey, thanks for joining us tonight. And just like basically handed out those half other of the tickets, and just basically kind of like we did the raffle and or silent auction for these a precious liquid that like donated by this liquor company. And yes, and then all this proceeds goes to them. I don't know, just like nothing measured. I can't just whenever we feel the connection, and we should do it. I love to do it. We love to do it. It's not about amount of money. It's not about how big that grant that we can raise or anything. It's always about a little gesture that something you want to do. And yeah,
that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Before we start wrapping it up here, you have a beautiful cocktail book called The Japanese Art of the Cocktail. Share with us listeners a little bit about that book before we click buy on Amazon.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Andrew. So the cocktail book is about, this is a recipe book. So it's got good amount of a total 80 recipes of cocktails. And then includes all these sub recipes. So ultimately, you can recreate all these everyone's drink, my drink, and then also all these contributors, bartenders' drink. So we have these amazing bartenders from both US and Japan contributed recipe for this book, and they're absolutely unique and beautiful and so different, because that shows everyone's different personality and technique. and some of the cocktails from Katana Kitten, signature cocktails. We don't change the menu that often because the signature cocktail to me should stay because it's kind of our classic. So including those recipes, some delicious savory snacks recipe from Katana Kitten as well. So food recipe, like little food recipe, including my grandma's recipe. And so it's kind of a book about interesting recipe book, definitely. But it's something like this, again, that what this book represents is about, I said it many times in the book as well, it's about generosity and love and supporting nature of bar community and bartending community and then industry, that the hospitality industry, because somehow I ended up that one restaurant when I was 19, walked in with no experience, like no previous experience or skill, or probably like no, I didn't have maturity in like my mental maturity. Literally, imagine this: someone who previously just delivering pizza on the bike and on a scooter, and randomly walked into this one of the fine dining in Tokyo at the time. No experience whatsoever. Like a little, to be honest, like a little stupid punk kid, who I was. And somehow these inspirational mentors and people transform me. They show me the kind of like a beauty of what's so fulfilling and actually enjoyable to serving people and to make people happy through serving drinks and food in the restaurant in very professional setting. And the first time I felt like so professional and had respect for work, what you do. And from there, somehow, time to time, just really meeting right people at the right timing. And I got that, I really got so lucky to meet all these mentors and people.
Yeah. So I'd encourage everyone to check that book out, because furthermore, Masa, as it says, delves into what exactly constitutes the Japanese approach to cocktails. And as it says, demystifies the techniques that have been handed down over generations. So really cool approach to cocktails there in that book. Masa, thank you. Let's do a quick speed round and close it out. What do you say?
Sure.
Awesome. Question 1, name the cocktail that inspired you to get behind the bar.
Manhattan.
What's the last cocktail you made at home? You could probably guess this one.
Martini. Yeah.
Name a smell behind the bar that you love.
I love the dive bar smell, that like really fine beer stained wood. That like kind of like a blend between, that the wetted by, I guess, beer and then dirty rag and like the wiping and like kind of some like a little bit of like somewhere like a little rotten, but time to demolish it and then put the new balance. But really, I like that smell of that kind of yeasty, the beer stained wood smell of like some fried food, and I love that smell.
How about a smell behind the bar you hate?
Kind of new, like a new smell. I mean, I don't hate anything. I should not hate anything, but I wish it was different. I don't know. I mean, the bar, the smells a little pretentious. I guess that's the smell. Maybe kind of not so welcoming. Yeah, not so welcoming. You can smell that. Yeah.
And let's close it out. What's one cocktail every home bartender should have in their repertoire?
I guess I'll say Martini or highball, because both kind of easy to make. It's minimal ingredients, but like you can taste different. Like you can actually surprise yourself that like, as I mentioned it, like not jiggering, not measuring Martini. You know what I'm saying? That you can taste like, oh, that was a 2-to-1. Oh, that was a dry Martini. And like how long will you stir in that like little, the plastic measuring cup? And like, oh, that was overstir, that was understir. And the kind of thing that you kind of want to pay attention, like, like, oh, that's interesting. That I think that everything starts from the interest, so that's like Martini. And in the highball, you can make a killer highball at home. You throw the booze in the freezer. The booze itself is cold, and chilled soda water, deli ice, and different type of the glassware you use, but both simple, but you notice it tastes different every single time, and then you start paying attention, like, oh, no stress again, like it's it tastes different, so that's a good thing, like there's that you're noticing differences. But yeah, Martini and highball.
Masa, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I loved getting these like intricate details to the martini. I wouldn't classify myself as the biggest martini drinker, but there's probably a great chance that I will be making one of these martinis very soon. So thank you for that. Excited to check more out on your book, and thank you for all you have done and do to give back to the community, whether it's Children's Hospital, whether it's, Bowery Mission, whatever it may be. And thanks for taking the time again to do this. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Really, thank you.
To get the recipe from this episode, check out the episode notes in your podcast player or go to beyondtheplatepodcast.com. This episode was produced by myself, along with Ian Cohen, Joel Yetton, and Sean Petrosian. Find me and keep up to date with this podcast across all social media platforms at On Cappy's Plate, or go to beyondtheplatepodcast.com. Beyond the Plate is on all the socials at BT Plate Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast on your listening site of choice. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Drink, a production of Beyond the Plate. I'm Cappy.